back, everybody. Today we're going to go over how to clean your Canik pistol. This one here is the TP9SA, and obviously getting to be a very popular pistol here in America, especially for new shooters. So for those of you guys that are new to it, we're going to show you how to clean and lubricate it coming up next. Before getting into the actual cleaning, I'll go over what I'm actually going to use for it. It's a pretty simple setup here. Both of these bottles are actually just CLP, break-free CLP. It's cleaner, lubricant, and protectant or preservative, depending on whom you ask. But they're just rebottled, so it's easier for me to actually just use. That stuff's available everywhere. Amazon, probably your local gun shop, anywhere you look. If you guys are looking for it. There's other good products out there though. I reviewed several of them, Fire Clean, Frog Lube, Slip 2000, etc. There's a lot of good ones out there. So I'm not saying those are the best, but certainly the break free works. It's been working for a long time, and we'll use that just for simplicity's sake here in the video. We're also going to use a toothbrush here, an old toothbrush, a brush, a tipped in polymer pick. These are available on Amazon, and again I'm sure other places as well. They come in like a 4-pack, and I think they're like something ridiculous, like $5. So they're really good, and they don't scratch your finish like metal picks would. And I may even use a pipe cleaner here, but that's sort of optional. Also some old cut up t-shirts. But you can buy gun patches if you want. Do that if it makes you feel good about it. By all means do it. The t-shirt works just fine though as well, so it's really personal preference. All right, first step in the cleaning process is we want to make sure the gun is clear. So do that by pressing your mag release here. I should note that I'm also going to make this video for someone who's new to guns, so if that sounds like I'm talking down to someone by over explaining something that you may already know, it's not what I'm doing. Just trying to help the new folks out. So we're going to push it up here on our slide lock or slide release, depending on whom you ask. Go ahead and check in the chamber, make sure it's clear, visual and tactile touch. At this point, you can either press the trigger or you can press the decocker up here. I'll press the trigger just because I'm sort of used to it. Now I can pull down the 2 tabs, slide will come right off. We'll take out our recoil spring and guide rod and our barrel. The gun is field stripped. This is as far as you're going to go down for normal maintenance. The first thing we're going to tackle is the barrel, but I did lie to you in the intro. I'm also going to be using this rod here, which comes with the gun. So I left that out, but what we're going to do here is just put some CLP on a patch, and then you're just going to clean out the ramp and the mouth there of the barrel, making sure you wipe any excess carbon off there, and we're going to run the patch through the barrel. These Canik barrels are very easy to clean. Obviously, not a whole lot to get in there the way they're designed, so they do generally wipe clean, but you just want to run that CLP through there, and what that's going to do is it's actually breaking down the carbon deposits that are in there. You can take your brush, run it through a couple times, make sure you loosen everything up, and then we're just going to set that off to the side. Now, for the slide, one thing you want to keep in mind is if you're going to put any sort of lubricant or cleaner in there, you want to make sure the slide is angled down. Reason for that is that right here is where your striker's located, in that little hole, and if you actually put it on and the lubricant or oil runs down into that striker channel, it can cause issues eventually. It won't do it the first time or the second time, but eventually if you continue to do it, it certainly may. So I just take a bottle here of a CLP, spray in there, spray down there. We're going to take our brush and just brush it around, loosening up the carbon as well as just letting the CLP start breaking it down as well. So you just brush it around on all the surfaces in there. And when you brush the breech face here, which is this portion, you want to make sure again that the slide is facing down so that way the oil's not getting in there. Something you can do real quick is take your pipe cleaner. If you don't have one, you can just take a patch. You're going to get right on the ejector, or excuse me, extractor, which is this piece right here, and just make sure you get right on that hook. As you guys can see there, that's what I'm doing. And you can see it tends to foul up pretty bad. Eventually, if you don't clean that, it will have some failure to extract and failure to eject issues. Now we're just going to set that off to the side and get onto the frame. The process is very similar here on the frame. Just spray it in the front here on the dust cover, and on the back in the trigger assembly back there. And there's my brush. We're just going to brush around. The areas you want to focus on here are up underneath the rails, because that tends to be where there's going to be a lot of carbon, as well as sort of right in here. and just brush it all around, doing the same thing, loosening that carbon up. And moving on to the barrel, same thing. On the outside, put a spray on there. Again, if you guys are using solvent and then using lubricant, that's fine. For this step, you'll just be using the solvent to do this process. Brush it around there, make sure you get in the lugs here. And that really is all there is to it. I lied. We're going to get our guide rod and spring as well. Now that's all there is to it. As you probably noticed, this gun is not all that dirty, but at this point the carbon should be broken down a good bit and we can just sort of wipe it up. So just wipe down any of the surfaces. Here on the barrel, you want to make sure you get in the crown because that tends to be a dirty portion. But just wipe down all the carbon off there. And make sure you get underneath your lugs here. Another important part, carbon likes to build up. And these guns are really reliable and have some pretty impressive tests behind them, so you don't need to really get them spotless in order for function. But as anything, I mean, if you spend money on something, you want to take care of it, maintain it. You know, do you need to change your oil every 5,000 or 3,000 rounds or miles, I should say? Can you do it every 30,000? Yeah, you probably can. Is it a good idea? Probably not. So there's your barrel. We also want to run that patch through there again. Just make sure we get everything out of there. And honestly, with the Caniks, that's probably all you're going to need. 1 or 2 passes through there, and your barrel should be clean. Moving on to the slide, we're going to do the same thing here with a patch. Just take your pick here. And one good thing that's really nice about these picks is you can get right in your these little grooves right here that your slide rides along in, which ride along on the metal inserts in your frame. Get in there because there tends to be a lot of carbon in there. Do it on both sides, and you can see there it's coming out kind of dirty. Depending on how many rounds through your gun, since your last cleaning, you're going to get different results there, as well as what kind of ammo you're firing. And just sort of wipe everything down. Any of the excess oil that's on there, wipe it down. Same thing again on the face right there. You know, just make sure it's angled down, wipe it off, and just go through your entire slide like that. Another area that tends to get sort of a good bit of carbon buildup is right here where your recoil spring is going to sit. So you can take your patch or t-shirt in my case and just sort of push it in there and work it around. You can use that tipped in polymer rod to get in the little crevices. Moving on to the frame, I'm going to use the back side of that same patch I just used, and we're going to get again along the rail surfaces here, in the dust cover, and then in the magazine well and back here on the trigger. Anywhere that you see that excess oil, or really any oil, you just kind of want to at least wipe it over. There will be some left. That's sort of the beauty of using a oil-based CLP, is that some of that cleaner and lubricant stays on there, which is a good thing. It helps prevent corrosion as well as provide lubrication on the small parts. So just getting down the crevices, you can pull down here on the 2 tabs. It'll expose a little bit more surface that can be cleaned in your frame. And then back here on the rails, you want to get under those as well. Now, sort of a word to the wise for those of you that are new to firearms, and kind of, I don't mean this in a bad way, but if you don't know what you're doing back here in terms of getting around in the trigger housing, just kind of get where you can get to. Don't get overzealous about getting back there, because if you pull one of those springs out and you don't know how it goes, or you can't figure it out, it's not a good thing. So there's no need to really get in there more than what I just did right there. Just wipe up any carbon you can see, and that's good enough. Point that we should make here is in the magazine well, you don't want any lubrication in there, so make sure it's dry. There's just no need for it. If there's a little in there, is it going to hurt anything? No. But does it help anything? No. So it's good to get it all out of there. And last thing we're going to do is just wipe off your recoil spring and guide rod. In terms of how much you need to clean and to what level, it's really going to be user preference, guys. I mean, you could go ahead and do this whole process again and get it so that these patches aren't coming out with any carbon on them, and that's fine. If that's what you want to do it. If it makes you feel better, have at it. So really how much you want to do it is up to you, but I like to do it pretty much to this point, just kind of wipe it out. These guns are not that hard and not that picky, not that hard to clean, I should say, not that picky about just how clean they are. So just good general cleaning like we did there really should be all you need to do, you know, for general maintenance. Once you start getting into the higher round counts, like 5,000, 10,000 rounds, you may want to get a little bit more detailed, but in general, that's pretty much it. In terms of lubrication, generally you want a light coat of oil on all of the metal surfaces. So with the CLP, there is going to be some there already, so that's a good thing. If you're using a bore cleaner or a solvent, you want to make sure you put a light coat on there pretty much everywhere. But the areas you want to focus on is pretty much anywhere that you're going to start to see wear at this point on the gun. So you can see some wear here on the barrel. And generally I just put sort of a light coat all around the barrel here. Up here on the top of the barrel hood, put a drop in there. We're going to put one here on the lug as well, because you can see we're starting to get some wear there. And just a little more back there. Here in your slide, you can see the wear starting to happen right down in here. Put a drop in there. You can see some happening back there. Just a light coat of oil there, as well as on the striker here. A drop or two in the rails here. This Brownell's oiling bottle, for those of you wondering, this is a Brownell's needle oiler, I think they call it. Does a real good job of not putting out a ton of lube all at once, so it's one of the reasons I really like it. So lube down in the rails, and that should be good. And just, you're going to want to put it right here on the metal inserts in your frame, just a drop on each. And one here on the trigger spring. That's all there is to it at this point. We're just going to reassemble the pistol as you normally would. When you do that, for those of you who are new owners, make sure that your guide rod and spring sits in there just like that. So it's not like that. You want to make sure it actually sits down into that little recess right there on your barrel. Now we're going to put it back on the frame, making sure these little rails here go over these metal pieces, the metal inserts in your frame. At this point, you're just going to rack the slide. You don't want to force it or fight it. If it's not lining up, that's fine. Just redo it, line it up again. Rack your slide to the rear, let it go home, work the action a few times, and just do a functions check. Point the firearm in a safe direction, pull the trigger. It should fire. Hold the trigger to the rear, cycle the slide. The trigger should reset at that point. That's all there is to it. If you guys have any questions about the cleaning lubrication process that we did here, or anything else about the actual pistol, you can check out my review on that one if you guys haven't seen that one already. But you can always post below in the comment section with those questions. You can also post over at my Facebook page as always. I hope this video helps some of you guys out. I know this is a gun that's very popular for new shooters, so if you just picked one up, you got yourself a good gun for a very good price. And hopefully this process helped you. And that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I hope to see you in the next video.